In the peaceful Burgundy region, nestled among the tranquil fields of a crowd had gathered on a crisp autumn morning in 613 AD, nobles, warriors, peasants, and clergy had all converged in anticipation of a gruesome spectacle. What they would witness that day would be etched in the collective memory of the people for generations. Her once lustrous white hair, once a symbol of royal splendor, was now tangled and filthy. Her eyes, however, still held the fire of defiance eyes. Hands of fate who had once ruled with unmatched authority, but now was nothing more than a puppet on the string of political manipulation. She was about to be executed by her bitter political rival, King Clateri, in a way that no one had imagined, torn apart by 4 wild horses, to the early years of the High Middle Ages, and examine how Brunhilda's path led her into the crosshairs of history. At the time of her death, Brunhilda was around 70 years old, frail from years of hardship, suffering, and betrayal. Historians of the time noted that her intellect was far superior to that of many male rulers of the period. This marriage, arranged as part of a political alliance, sought to strengthen the ties between the Visigothic kingdom and the Frankish Empire. Her education allowed her to navigate the complex political landscapes of both had witnessed decades of intricate political maneuvers and the brutal realities of power in the Frankish kingdom. She had the ability to charm those around her, including the clergy and nobility, and it was this charm, coupled with her sharp mind, that allowed her to navigate the complex power dynamics, tragic culmination of years of power struggles, personal rivalries, and betrayals. Despite the cultural differences, she quickly adapted and proved herself capable of wielding considerable political influence. In 575, Sigbert I was assassinated, allegedly by assassins. Brunhilda. This act of treachery set the stage for a long-running battle between the two queens, one that would devastate the Frankish kingdom and lead to years of bloodshed, betrayal, and political scheming. The rivalry between these two women would become one of the bloodiest and most prolonged feuds in European history. She built alliances with powerful figures, negotiated with foreign powers, and exercised her political influence with remarkable success. Her ability to one that would define the politics of the Frankish kingdom for over 40 years. In an unprecedented move, Brunhilda assumed the regency for her young son, a position that would allow her to maintain control of the realm. It was a bold decision, but one that solidified her as a powerful and cunning political figure. The trial that followed was little more than a formality, a mere pretext to justify her execution. As her grandchildren reached adulthood, Brunhilda attempted one last political maneuver to elevate her great-grandson Sigbert to the throne of Burgundy. The method chosen for her death was a deliberate act of cruelty, designed not only to end her life but to humiliate her and erase her from the historical record. It was a state-method attempt to eliminate the legitimacy of Brunhilda's claim to power and to solidify Clateri. Brunhilda was first tortured for 3 days before being paraded through the military camps on a camel. Finally, she was bound by her hair, arms, and legs too for wild horses, which were incited to run in opposite directions. The result was a horrific death in which her body was literally torn apart, and her defiance of the gender norms of her time make her a fascinating and complex figure in history. With her execution, the aristocracy gained significant concessions from Clateri too, and her life and death highlight the complexities of power, gender, and legacy. In the manner in which she was to die was symbolic an act, not just of execution but of obliteration. Let us know in the comments which historical figure you would like to see covered next. By destroying Brunhilda's body in such a public and violent manner, Clateri symbolically erased her political influence and the legacy she had built over the years. She continued to hold sway over the Frankish realms, even after her son grew to adulthood. Despite the negative portrayal of her in historical accounts written by her political enemies, Brunhilda's legacy endures. Her remarkable ability to navigate her death was not just a personal loss. It was a calculated move to erase her. Her ascent was not without controversy. She had orchestrated the murder of her predecessor, Chilpric's first wife. When Sigbert I married, it was a dramatic spectacle designed to humiliate her, destroy her lineage, and send a clear message to any who would dare to challenge the ruling order. The nobles, led by the mayor of the palace Varnatar, secretly contacted Clateri II of News, offering to recognize him as the sole ruler of the Frankish kingdom in exchange for the elimination of Brunhilda and her lineage. This betrayal would set the stage for Brunhilda's brutal execution. To understand how this former queen, once a symbol of regal beauty, intelligence, and political strength, met such a grisly end, we must rewind the clock by more than half a century. As a Visigoth princess, she was destined for greatness from an early age. Her education was exceptional for a woman of her time. Born around 543 AD, Brunhilda was the daughter of the Visigothic king who ruled over what is now modern-day Spain. She was fluent in multiple languages, well-versed in classical literature, and had a deep understanding of Christian theology. Brunhilda's future took a decisive turn in 567 when she was married to Sigbert I, the king of Austrasia. Brunhilda arrived at the Frankish court, where she would face a far more militarized and rougher environment than she was accustomed to in her native Toledo. Her marriage to Sigbert I marked the beginning of her ascent to power within the Frankish kingdom. Her reign, however, would soon be marred by a bitter rivalry with the wife of Sigbert's brother Chilperic, born into humble beginnings, had risen through the ranks of the Frankish court to become Chilperic's queen, the noble Visigoth princess Brunhilda. The feud was ignited in earnest when Fredegunda's own sister Galsvinta was found strangled in her bed. Vowed vengeance, foreign-born queen, her political survival seemed uncertain. Maintain power in a male-dominated world, where women were often excluded from political life, was nothing short of extraordinary. The downfall, a fatal political misstep, alienated the Frankish nobility, who were eager to seize power for themselves. In 613, Brunhilda, now in her 70s, found herself once again at odds with the aristocracy. When the opposing armies met at the Asni River, the nobles turned on Brunhilda, abandoning her and leaving her vulnerable to Clotair's forces. She was captured and brought before Clotaire II, who had long been her political enemy. Accused of the murder of several members of the Frankish royal family, a charge that, though exaggerated for political gain, provided the justification for her execution. The brutal execution, a message of power. Fredegario II's position as the unchallenged ruler of the Frankish kingdoms. Brunhilda's death marked a pivotal moment in the history of the Merovingian dynasty. The central authority of the monarchy was weakened. The rise of aristocratic power at the expense of the monarchy would shape the future of the Frankish kingdoms for years to come. Brunhilda's death, though violent and tragic, ensured that her name would not be forgotten. Treacherous warders of medieval politics, her unyielding determination to protect her family. The brutal execution of Brunhilda serves as a reminder of the dangers faced by powerful women in medieval Europe, especially those who defied the patriarchal structures of their time. The Middle Ages. Despite the extreme violence of her end, Brunhilda achieved a form of immortality through her story, a story that continues to inspire and provoke discussion to this day. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more stories of powerful women from history, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications.